let's discuss the Vanity Fair article inside the Real Housewives Reckoning that's rocking Bravo. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another episode of Breaking News with G, an installment on my channel where we discuss all of the latest news surrounding the Bravo universe. So, today we have a very lengthy article from Vanity Fair that we are going to unpack with the perspectives from Bethany Frankel, Ebony K. Williams, and Leah McSweeney. I will read to you directly from the source, as always. At the end of this video, I will give my opinion, and we will theorize, talk, discuss, and wrap it up. So, make yourself something to drink, get comfortable, and enjoy. The article reads, inside the Real Housewives Reckoning that's rocking Bravo. Amid disturbing allegations, Bethany Frankel's calls for a union, and a whole lot of drinking, reality TV's most popular stars are facing their demons. The housewife woke up in her own urine. She was still drunk from the night before, when she'd had 3 drinks at dinner, another 3 or 4 with her co-stars, then an indeterminate but debilitating amount of mezcal after her castmates went to sleep. The house had been fully stocked when they arrived. She was too hungover to care that she'd wet the bed, and so sick that she couldn't film, she told production. But people on set kept telling her she was fine. It was just the Mexican water screwing up her stomach. The same thing had happened to them in Cartagena, Colombia, the year before. The van hired for the day trip pulled over so the housewife could throw up. When the crew saw what was happening, they rushed over. She said, not to help, but to document it. Bravo didn't wind up airing that footage. Production did bring in a doctor who gave the housewife a shot. She pulled out her pants on camera and took it while a castmate held her hand. If you go to the WHORE house, you're gonna get f***ed, said another Real Housewife. She knows what you think. That if you sign up to be on a Bravo reality show, you deserve what you get. And she agrees. If we do this, it's at our own peril. We know that, and we don't effing care. They do it for the money. In part, more than $1 million a season for the highest paid cast members. But it's more than that. The second housewife remembers being a little girl and plotting in her diary to achieve public recognition. I used to dream that one day I'd maybe get to go on a Jeopardy and I would have put that in my obituary, she says. Now when she dies, she will leave this mortal coil having been a reality star. She's grown accustomed to cruel comments about her body and face, vitriol about her life, but she also has become accustomed to the validation. Have I been put through the ringer? She says, 100%. Still better than my worst day withering away at life of quiet desperation. And this housewife, speaking on condition of anonymity, because she doesn't want to lose her nightmare of a dream job, went to last year's BravoCon, a 3-day convention attended by 30,000 or so fans. She turned to 2 former fellow Bravo celebrities and said, how do I ever be happy after this? This is the deal Bravo stars make with the devil. And there are many stars. There are currently 10 Real Housewives shows and about 20 other properties in the Bravo reality space, including the Emmy-winning Top Chef and improbable Emmy nominee Vanderpump Rules. The biggest series have 11 million viewers each. Network exec turned master of ceremonies Andy Cohen hosts Watch What Happens Live, a nightly talk show on which non-Bravo celebrities and cast play games as Cohen polls at the home audience with questions like, which Real Housewife of New Jersey has the better bad nose job? Bravo, which is owned by NBC Universal, distributes the series on cable and via the streaming service Peacock. Shows are produced by third-party partners like Benny J, Warner Brothers, Discovery, Advanced Magazine Publishers, including which owns Condé Nast, which owns Vanity Fair, owns a stake in Warner Brothers. Those partners have production companies, including 51 Minds Entertainment, which makes most of the charter yachting franchises of Below Deck, and Shed Media, The Real Housewives of New York City and Salt Lake City, the all-star Housewives show Ultimate Girls Trip, known as UGT. The production companies are on the ground during the filming of shows. The series and cast members orbit around Cohen, who described himself to me during a 2021 interview for New York Magazine as their boss, among other roles including father. It's an unusual employment arrangement in a singular workplace. If you watch these shows, the words Scary Island or Dinner Party from Hell or Amsterdam are a wormhole to the collective memory of a fandom. If you don't watch, it's easiest to think of these ostensibly unscripted but highly produced series as the Bravo Cinematic Universe, an interconnected group of characters linked by Watch What Happens Live, social media, and crossover series. The stars are usually affluent, often poorly behaved people, mostly women who either know they're ridiculous or don't care if anyone thinks they are. As Lisa Shannon, Senior Vice President of Programming and Development at Shed, has said, this is a comedy. But the material is not always funny. Leah McSweeney relapsed after 9 years of sobriety before her first season on The Real Housewives of New York City. Her recollection of a 2019 cast trip to Mexico, described at the beginning of the story, is from one of many interviews conducted over many months with current and former housewives, producers, and Bravo staffers about the things that viewers haven't seen. Racist language and behavior, the real-world effects of making entertainment out of destructive interpersonal relationships, the downsides of fame and substance abuse beyond the meme fodder that drives fan discourse. According to some housewives, Bravo should answer for breaking them down for storylines. According to those who are responsible for the shows, however, the cast are largely in control of their own destinies. Now, with one of the most famous Bravo stars, Bethany Frankel, calling for a union, 2 legal complaints filed by Talon in the last year, and NBC Universal releasing renewed guidance around cast behavior and production oversight, the Bravoverse is in the midst of a reckoning. Anyone who has watched reality TV since The Real World first premiered in 1992 is at least partially aware of the normalization of televised intoxication. But alcohol has become a character itself, as a lubricant that made the cast of Jersey Shore and the bubbles that preceded of 1,000 Bachelor tears. On Bravo shows, there are champagne rooms, and fireball nips, and fireball bottles, and Belvedere, and soda served in short glasses with 3 lemons, carcass out. There are nightly drinking games on Watch What Happens Live, and weekly shot skis, where Cohen and guests take shots of, yes, a ski. During a panel at BravoCon in 2022, a Ultimate Girls Trip producer told fans that during filming, cast member Marisol Patton started her mornings with cookies, juice, and vodka. The audience loved it. According to one housewife, the cast stashed water bottles filled with clear alcohol around the set, both to calm their own nerves, and they hoped to get one particularly volatile cast member crazy drunk. She felt like the producers hoped so too. It's just faster and easier, the housewife says, of trying to give the producers what they want. Cast members describe some producers using big words, phrases written in large font on their phones held up to redirect conversation. Former Real Housewives of New York, Ebony K. Williams, says she ignored one that read, "Bring up Sonia's drinking," referring to Sonia Morgan. Before a day of shooting begins, the production team sends out the beats of each scene, topics they've written and want addressed. The following is a beat reviewed by VF for an episode that was filmed in November 2020. Sonia is on a loop, and this abuse of pills and alcohol has been going on for way too long. Is there anything they can do, or do they need to just be there for her when she falls? When she was on RHONY, Frankel says, I was talking to producers about how we're going to bring into the show that Luann's fiance has cheated on her. A person with knowledge said Frankel acted on her own accord, or a producer comes in and tells me that somebody is trying on wedding dresses when they're not engaged, and I bring that into a scene. According to McSweeney and Williams, producers did not suggest curling Morgan's on-set drinking, even as they instructed cast members to discuss it. Whatever has aired on the show is reflective of her experience, says someone who is familiar with production. Shed's current alcohol policy states, "We have always strived to depict cast members as being authentic on its shows. Therefore, cast members and cast members only make their own decision about whether to consume alcohol." McSweeney turned it up. She drank and took off her clothes and threw a lit tiki torch across the lawn. When the episode aired, Hurricane Leah would be instantly iconic, a rare first-season star. Hot Sheets are production's daily post-filming logs. They describe on-camera action and dialogue in detail, from cast bats to Ramona Singer's dog peeing on the floor. Colin receives hot sheets for the shows on which he is a producer, including The Real Housewives and Ultimate Girls Trip. A person who works in production says they are written by the field team and distributed to the post-production team that uses them in the edit, as well as various executives at Bravo and NBC Universal. Off-camera interactions aren't discussed on hot sheets, but executives have become aware of certain complaints. Real Housewives of New York Season 13 featured Williams, the show's first Black cast member. In 2020 and 2021, Singer's alleged racial hostility and use of the N-word in conversation with a Black crew member during Season 13 production were the subject of complaints within Shed Media, Warner Brothers, Discovery, Bravo, and NBC Universal. Singer continued to film after the alleged incidents, has since been part of 2 seasons of Ultimate Girls Trip. That is not that true, and appeared on Watch What Happens Live as the story was going to press. When asked if she used the N-word in conversation with a Black member of production, Singer responded, "Never. Everybody wants the bag of shit to not be on them all times." Frankel told Vanity Fair, "The most successful housewife of all time would know." In July, she called for former reality TV peers to unionize and directed them to legal resources. She described some of these castmates and crew as people I never would have given the time of day, who I judged through this toxic process, and who may not have a past I would normally respect, but who have been tossed away after being used like trash. As she put it, it's kill or be killed. Silver Hill Hospital. Patient McSweeney Leah admitted the 23rd of January 2022. Emotional trauma, the show. Exploitation, the show. Psychological trauma, I can say all of that shit is the show, but at the same time I did a deal with the devil, so I need to figure out how to deal with it and win. But at what cost? In May 2019, nearly 3 years before she checked into a psychiatric hospital, McSweeney was auditioning for The Real Housewives. "I am drinking again, but it's fine," McSweeney, 41, says she told the producer. She says she had been sober for almost a decade up to that point, and she describes this moment as her first attempt to minimize her substance abuse issues with Bravo. The conversation moved on to McSweeney's apartment size, small for a housewife, and what she thought of the other cast members. On August 2nd, 2019, Lisa Shannon at Shed called McSweeney to tell her she got the job. The next day, McSweeney says she stopped drinking. According to McSweeney, her contract was for $3,000 an episode. As a matter of policy, Shed does not comment on compensation. More than a month later, on an early September cast trip to the Hamptons, McSweeney began drinking again. "I don't consider myself an alcoholic at all. I have been drinking for the last 6 months or so, and I pick and choose when I drink," she said on camera that season. McSweeney now says she was trying to keep her relapse from becoming a storyline. McSweeney says co-showrunner Darren Ward had warned her, "This shit is boring as hell, and you better turn it up." Ward did not respond to questions from Vanity Fair. Oh. McSweeney turned it up. She drank and took off her clothes, and wearing only a thong threw a lit tiki torch across Singer's lawn. She doesn't remember that evening because she was browned out, she says. But when the episode aired in April 2020, McSweeney as Hurricane Leah was instantly iconic. McSweeney says that in April 2020, during an off-air exchange on Watch What Happens Live, Cohen asked her, "Were you already drinking, or was your relapse at the winery or on the trip?" She told him she wasn't dry when filming began, hoping to de-emphasize it. She believes he looked disappointed that the exact moment of McSweeney's relapse wouldn't be documented on the show. During taping of the season 12 reunion in August 2020, McSweeney says Cohen asked which drugs she'd used during her active addiction through a Bravo representative. Cohen declined to answer questions. The following season, according to McSweeney, Morgan was so inebriated that she vomited and urinated herself on a different trip to the Hamptons. Whatever footage there may have been did not air. Morgan didn't respond to questions from Vanity Fair, and a source with insight says, producers don't recall the incident. Someone documented in the hot sheet for October 2022 that Morgan was continuously getting more and more out of control drunk. In 2015, during a trip to Atlantic City, a RHONY cast member told production that Morgan was too drunk to film and that a real intervention was necessary. Frankel staged one on camera. It didn't take. McSweeney says the only time production intervened in her own drinking was when Singer complained to producers that McSweeney had been too disruptive while filming in Rhode Island. On the trip, McSweeney threw a martini glass during one dinner and ravioli at Singer during another. A source involved with production says if the cast is out at a restaurant, production pays the restaurant bill. On production trips, production stocks the fridge and pantry with requested food and beverages. McSweeney says Shannon phoned her and said, "We need you to be lucid," and at Shannon's request, a mental health professional called McSweeney, though they did not mention alcohol. Other housewives recall similar experiences with mental health care providers referred by Bravo. They have a 1-800 number for Dr. Barry. One housewife says of Barry Goldenstein, an off-screen psychologist who goes by his first name with Bravo clients. His website, realityshrink.net, notes he is also a board game designer and expert. Goldstein has called me on many occasions as a check-in, quote-unquote, says a housewife, which in her estimation feels like, you're not doing what they want to do. Goldstein did not respond to Vanity Fair's request for comments. According to a source familiar with production, all cast members have access to mental health care resources. During season 13, which was filmed from late 2020 to early 2021, McSweeney was freshly sober, but she struggled with the isolation of COVID, and her grandmother, who had been a key figure of support, was in hospice. The cast was about to take a trip to Singer's house in the Hamptons, and McSweeney texted Ward and his fellow showrunner John Paparazzo, "My grandmother is going to die any day now," adding that if the funeral happens while we're in the Hamptons, there's no way I can miss it. Sorry. Paparazzo responded, obviously, "Hang in there, thinking of you." Soon after the trip began, McSweeney learned her grandmother was losing consciousness. She began having panic attacks. A source involved with production says Ward told her, "Whatever day or time you need to be with your grandmother, we're going to make that happen. Don't get stressed out about that. We're on your side and we're going to support you, okay?" But McSweeney felt his tone meant the opposite. A car was later arranged for McSweeney when she requested to leave the Hamptons a few hours early. Her grandmother had already died. Some fans questioned why McSweeney hadn't gone to her grandmother earlier. A threat Cohen encouraged on Watch What Happens Live after being asked by Cohen about McSweeney and the trip. Former Real Housewives of New York, Heather Thompson, said, "I think it was better for Leah to go home. It hurt so bad that I was not able to grieve," McSweeney says. "That I had people not showing me any kind of compassion or humanity regarding it." At the same time, McSweeney was trying to maintain a good relationship with producers and convince herself that what had happened in the Hamptons was okay. She texted Ward and paparazzi, "I'm glad I stayed in Long Island because that's what my grandma wanted." McSweeney says reading the message now is like seeing someone with Stockholm Syndrome. While the season was airing, McSweeney says Shannon told her, "I just think that there was such a stark difference between you were drinking versus the season, and that's why the audience kind of didn't like you." A source says McSweeney complained about the audience hating her, but her drinking was not at the center of this conversation. The source also notes that viewers found McSweeney's struggles to be relatable. Nevertheless, McSweeney informed Shannon of her decision to leave the show by phone in late 2021. Weeks later, McSweeney says she suffered a major depressive episode related to the show and her grandma's death. Her mother and a former long-term partner, the father of McSweeney's teenage daughter, moved into her home, then moved McSweeney to Silver Hill Hospital. She stayed for 8 days, the longest amount of time insurance would cover. By March 2022, after many hours with a therapist, acupuncturist, and healer, McSweeney felt she was in a better place. Bravo and Shed Media were casting a season of Ultimate Girls Trip to be filmed in Thailand in July of that year. McSweeney says producers would be different this time, fun, and that she was offered $250,000 for 1 week of work. Cohen, an NBC Universal executive, told her she was being considered for RHONY Legacy, a RHONY franchise with veteran New York City housewives that might air alongside a rebooted RHONY series with a new cast. According to McSweeney, Cohen also said, "Let's get you through Ultimate Girls Trip first." McSweeney said yes. McSweeney got a text from fellow Ultimate Girls Trip cast member Marisol Patton before filming began. "I support your sobriety, obviously, and I could never do what you do because I don't have your willpower, and I marvel at what you have done," Patton wrote. But on that note, "I wish you were still drinking. That's all." "Yes, I sent the text message," Patton told. There was a collective memory of the girl running around throwing tiki torches and skinny dipping, and that is who I was hoping to go on vacation with. Though McSweeney was vocally sober, cast member Heather Gay asked McSweeney if she was drinking and said, "Let's get Leah drunk." Another cast member, Giselle Bryan, said to McSweeney, "If you drank this week, would that be a big deal?" "It would ruin my life," McSweeney said. McSweeney texted Ward, "Did you guys push her to talk about this stuff with me? It is so odd." Ward wrote back, "No, we did not." McSweeney texted, "I don't need people trying to undermine my sobriety." Ward responded, "Get out of your head." During lunch at an elephant sanctuary, the cast played a game. One McSweeney says the producers came up with in which they listed the best and worst parts of being housewives. McSweeney talked about feeling like she couldn't leave the Hamptons and the depression and impatient treatment that followed. According to McSweeney, Ward and paparazzi, the showrunners, came into her room and Ward said, "Lisa, Shannon's pissed at you. Then you're gonna get it today." A source familiar with production thinking says Shannon was not unhappy, just confused by McSweeney's belated upset, as producers had told her she did not need to go on the Hamptons trip at all. The cast began piling on McSweeney, according to people with knowledge, repeatedly telling her on camera that she didn't want to be in Thailand. In confessionals that aired, cast members discussed whether production would have ever pressured them to stay on a trip and not be with a dying grandparent. According to someone with knowledge, there was at least one dissenter, Gay, who said they wouldn't even have to say a word. "I would be afraid to leave and go to my grandmother's funeral. I would not do it." The footage wasn't included in the show. Several days before UGT wrap, McSweeney had a panic attack, which was aired. According to McSweeney, a staff medic gave McSweeney's a makeshift IV clipped to a clothes hanger on the bed frame, which then fell and pulled the needle out of her wrist. When McSweeney's condition didn't improve, the crew took McSweeney to the hospital, where she was admitted overnight. Two members of production were nearby, and McSweeney started crying to the nurses. "Just keep them away from me," she said. In November, McSweeney found out from De Lesseps and another castmate during the medley that Legacy would be filming without her. On March 10, 2023, McSweeney and her attorneys at Adelman Metz filed an employment discrimination complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission against Bravo, Shed Media, and its parent company. The response stated that McSweeney's disabilities were allowed for and that she was not retaliated against. In fact, the response says production spent endless amount of time accommodating her and only internally expressed frustration with the fact that she was knowingly misrepresenting what had transpired. The attorney also pointed out that the complaint herself spent much of RHONY season 12, the season of her relapse, discussing alleged disabilities that are now subject of the instant complaints, and stated complaints need for information was never ending, but that need was completely separate from any alleged disability. On March 23rd, UGT premiered on episodes of Watch What Happens Live that aired during the run of the show. Cohen questioned guests about whether McSweeney was fun on the trip. One night this spring, Leah was the drinking game word. Whenever anybody mentioned McSweeney, Cohen instructed viewers to take a drink. Problem drinking isn't the only problem. That was immediately clear to Williams, a lawyer and TV host who in 2021 became the first Black cast member on RHONY. Many other cities had featured Black housewives through casts at the point where it largely segregated by race. Beverly Hills, New York, Dallas, Jersey, Orange County were mostly white, Atlanta and Potomac mostly Black. A virtual education session before filming season 13 covered topics including Black women, how Black women are treated in larger society and the Black community. Microaggressions, what are they? How do you recognize them? Lexicon, appropriate versus harmful and offensive language, and missteps. What to do when you say something offensive? How do you move forward in that relationship? Williams, McSweeney, Morgan, Singer, and De Lesseps were on the call, as well as an NBC Universal Communications executive, a Bravo publicist, and two representatives from a racial justice organization. Williams had never previously met Morgan or Singer. Before the 1-hour session officially began, according to McSweeney and Williams, Morgan commented on the natural hair of the Black woman leading the session. Williams, 40, interpreted the meeting as a cover your ass move. She says it mostly focused on the kinds of things cast members should avoid saying, like the racist trope that Black fathers are not present for their children. What if they don't have a father? Why can't I say that? Singer said during the meeting. According to Williams, most of them don't. The RHONY publicist, who is also Black, told Singer that she has a father, but Singer said she'd read a study that confirmed that most Black children do not. McSweeney corroborates Williams' account. The trainings included open dialogue, Singer said to Vanity Fair. In that spirit, I asked a question about a statistic I had read about single-parent households, where children with single-parent households were statistically less likely to succeed than two-parent households. Later, while filming a scene that did air, De Lesseps and Singer expressed on camera their squeamishness around words such as dick, which they attributed to their backgrounds as church-going and conservative. Williams said that she had no discomfort with sexual language. Nothing she was the most educated person at the table with a BA and a JD. De Lesseps, who is a high school graduate and licensed nurse, said, "I don't like the way you talk." When Singer also got upset, Williams said, "Your white fragility is killing me right now," then had to explain it a term. Deliceps called Williams an angry woman, which Williams understood implicitly an angry black woman. I never referred to your color, Deliceps said. Williams left. Singer stayed behind. The scene that viewers saw ended there, but the emotional momentum continued. One of the people who remained told Vanity Fair. Ramona slammed her hands on the table. She goes, "This is why we didn't need black people on the show. This is gonna ruin our show." Singer emailed Vanity Fair this absolutely did not happen. In fact, I supported adding diverse cast members well before Ebony was added. The hot sheet went out several days later to a group that included Cohen and other NBCU execs. It did not note, however, that Singer allegedly said that the show didn't need black people. On October 24th, 2020, Cohen responded via email. "These are incredible reads and will be amazing episodes. The fact that this particular journey through white fragility ends with Ramona DMing Bryan Cranston is next level. If you were the most successful housewife ever, you would not be able to chart it without charting also absolute emotional destruction, public humiliation, divorce, death, crime, prison, shame, misogyny, and just an onslaught of pure hate." The seasoned Singer also allegedly told a black woman staffer, "There's so many of you guys here now. Please don't change your hair, as I'm not going to be able to remember anybody's names." Singer says this was the kind of thing she commonly did. "It was strictly a commentary on my inability to remember names. As an example, just last week, I saw a photo with me and Travis Kelce from 2016 on Watch What Happens Live, and I thought he was Jax Taylor." She emailed VF, referring to Vanderpump Rules cast member. "There's so many black chicks," Singer exclaimed. Singer denies saying this, though footage that aired in this season shows her using the phrase black chicks. Darian Edmondson Harrington, before she was married, was a senior producer on season 13, her first Bravo production. No one ever said officially why I was hired, but Ebony was the first black talent that was brought on for New York. I think that they were specifically looking for a black female producer. A source involved with production says new producers are typically introduced to the cast, but that didn't happen with the new black hires on RHONY. If the cast is not being told from the executives, these people are here to do this X job, that person said, the cast is going to make up their minds who they talk to and who they don't talk to. Edmondson says she wasn't able to produce Morgan, Deliceps, or Singer. They simply didn't respond to her texts or calls in the same way other cast members did. So it deemed unusual when Singer spoke to her after a scene filmed on November 6, 2020 in Singer's home. Here's how the hot sheet described the conversation. Ramona says she doesn't want to talk about race, religion, or creed. Ramona tries to change the subject again, asking about who Ebony is dating. She asks Ebony if the guy is black, white, or what. Ebony says she thought Ramona didn't want to talk about color. Ramona says, "Now I have to watch what I'm saying to you. I feel like whatever I say is wrong." Person who sees hot sheet said that while they don't recall that one specifically, they would not dispute it. After this scene, Williams left. Edmondson remained, she said, at Ward and Paparazzo's instructions. Singer told Edmondson that her interaction with Williams reminded her of when Jewish colleagues used a Catholic slur with her when she was a young woman and called her a shiksa, a Yiddish term for non-Jewish women. Edmondson hadn't heard the word before and later had to ask her mother what it was. According to Edmondson, she said, "Ramona, I have no idea what you're talking about." To which Singer said, "Oh, it's literally like somebody calling you a N-word." Singer says she never said the N-word and that this account is a misrepresentation. "I did describe an incident where I was called a shiksa while working in college, but I never compared it to the two experiences." Edmondson's wrapped up the conversation without addressing what Singer had just said, and she says Singer thanked her. But she discussed the moment with a shocked colleague and sent her husband and a friend texts about what happened, which Vanity Fair has reviewed. Then Edmondson started crying. I should have said something, she told herself. Ebony's fighting this fight season. She says she talked to Warren and paparazzi about it that night. They said, I'm so sorry that happened to you. According to multiple people who worked in season 13, other production members went to Warner Brothers Discovery HR about Singer's comment throughout the season. Edmondson endeavored to make herself feel better. At least she's getting comfortable around me, was how she rationalized Singer's ease using the N-word. But on a different day of filming with Williams, Edmondson recalled, literally we broke down hysterically and cried in each other's arms, and I've never in my life in a decade of working in TV ever shown emotion like that with a cast member. Williams had tried to quit the show November 6th, the same day Singer allegedly used the N-word, though Williams didn't know about the incident at the time. On November 9th, Williams says that the ward, paparazzi, and Shannon implored her to stay over a video call. Williams says they told her, listen, what you're giving us is exactly what we want. If we wanted a different black woman, we know how to get them. Shannon suggested Williams bear the racial animus she was experiencing more lightly, as Williams recalls it, reminding her, Ebony, this show is a comedy. Producers deny that Williams tried to quit and they asked her to stay, though someone with knowledge says a producer told Ebony and others generally that Real Housewives is partly comedic in nature. Viewers tend to see this show as an escape. Emails reviewed by Vanity Fair shows paparazzi Ward and Shannon had a Zoom call with Williams on November 9th. At last, the dinner of the season at Singer's Hamptons home, a party planner hired by production set the table with raw cotton. According to some, it was supposed to look like snow. Once again, Williams had to provide context. Shed acknowledges the situation and said they addressed it immediately. But it wasn't until after the season began airing in 2021, almost a year later, that Williams heard Singer had been reported to Warner Brothers HR, and that it had been determined that Singer said she had difficulty telling black crew members apart. At that point, Williams requested a series. Oh, I'm so sorry. I lost track. Wait a second. At that point, Williams requested a series of meetings with NBC Universal. During one meeting with execs and an outside lawyer, Williams says she was told an investigation into whether Singer had said the show didn't need black people was inconclusive. Williams says someone on the call confirmed the company determined Singer had said the N-word, but Williams says the lawyer tried to downplay the issue. To paraphrase, Singer didn't call Edmondson the N-word, she just said the N-word. Williams says the NBCU's chief diversity officer, who is biracial, was present. He told the lawyer, no, what we're not going to do is sit here and litigate the capacity in which the N-word was used in the presence of a black woman. NBCU did not comment. Williams says that was the only time I felt like anybody on the other side of this had any competency. What I recognized, even in the midst of my own trauma, is I still had the most power of any black person involved in this thing, Williams says. These are just young black women trying to go to effing work. Edmondson has not been hired for a Bravo series since her one and only RHONY season, which ended filming in 2021. For the first time in the Housewives' history, the reunion, which typically films about a month before the finale airs, was cancelled. At the time, Bravo attributed this to scheduling changes. Now, source with knowledge says the reunion was put on hold during an investigation into Singer's conduct and ultimately never happened. RHONY went off air for almost 2 years. When it came back, it had a new cast. Legacy. Ultimate Girls Trip starring Singer, Deliceps, Morgan, Hampe Paparazzo, which filmed in St. Bart's in June 2023. Shed produced both, as well as the Ultimate Girls Trip season that Singer filmed 3 months after RHONY season 13 wrapped. Someone familiar with production says, as soon as Shed became aware of concerns related to conduct on the RHONY season 13 production, producers immediately reached out to the affected employees to make sure they were supported. Sources differ on on when the allegations of singers' use on the N-word were communicated between the companies, which illustrates how complicated the process and reporting chains can become on these shows. Why do they stay? It is a promotional machine unlike anything you can even buy, says Williams, who tried to develop her own show with Bravo after season 13. Money and clout, says McSweeney. When housewives wonder who she would be otherwise, is it any wonder why we cling to it well past its expiration date? Frankel is one of the few examples of a Bravo star whose success transcends the network, and even she hasn't cleaved herself completely. Frankel quit the show, sold the cocktail division of her company Skinny Girl for a reported $100 million while filming a Bravo spinoff, returned, then quit again, developed several more shows with Bravo. In 2022, she started a podcast about the Real Housewives called HOUSEWIVES, distributed by iHeart Podcasts. Zarin told Vanity Fair that her former publicist suggested asking if she wanted to film the funeral Bobby loved being a house husband while Zarin was a cast member. She says, these emails went back and forth, including with a suggestion for a made-for-TV Shiva, but Zarin said her ultimate understanding was that there would not be cameras present outside the service. Okay. Let me read to you the last segment of this because this gets really, really long. I want to burn it down when Housewife told me in March. I don't. I said, I still hope there's a way to keep making Bravo shows without cast members feeling they've ruined their lives. Can humanity be made into entertainment humanely? I put this to another housewife, the one who dreamed of being famous. I take umbrage with humanely. She says, have you ever seen what it takes to train a Navy SEAL or to become a professional athlete? There's nothing humane about the process to do it. And there's nothing humane about the game of football. And I effing love it. Okay. First of all, I am tired from reading this aloud. I've spent about fucking 40 minutes reading this. Excuse me for swearing. And I have several thoughts that make me a little bit angry. I need to get up, go for a little walk in my apartment because it's 2 a.m. where I live now. And also, excuse me for the mispronunciation on some certain words, or maybe for the slow reading in some sentences, because English is not my first language. It is, in fact, my fourth. So please get off of my genital. Anyways, to anyone who's made it this far, thank you for listening. Thanks for your engagement. I appreciate it greatly. Let's get into it. Okay, so this article. I think this article is kind of a flop because, yes, I have compassion with the environments of work at Bravo that these women suffer. Yes, I have compassion for the things that went down, but the only story who really broke my heart, who really made me grab onto my mouse while I was reading the article, the only story who had the power to break the tone in my voice was the one from Ebony K. Williams. Listen, a few words to Bethany Frankel. I get that you're trying to unionize. I get that you're trying to stay relevant. I get that you're trying to do good. I really get it. But it is definitely not. I mean, she sold her company for $100 million. She made good lemonade out of her lemons that she squeezed out of it. I mean, I am a Bethany Frankel supporter, but let it go, let it go, let it go. There are more pressing matters, and I will get to those. Miss Leah McSweeney. I love Leah McSweeney, but Leah, I need you to take accountability for your own actions. Yes, whatever these producers said to you that was a little bit in a conniving way is inhumane. Whatever they told you and whatever they mind games they were allegedly slowly playing on the low, yes, it is effed up. But Leah, you are still accountable if you decide to drink. If you don't seem confident enough to provide entertainment sober and you get sucked up into the words, you better turn it up, that does not translate into you better drink the fuck up. It just simply doesn't. You can provide entertainment, great entertainment, sober. But of course I get the pressure. Of course, living in New York, rents are high, rent is due, prices are through the roof. You're trying to make the money, you're trying to secure the bag. I completely get it. $3,000 an episode is also a shame if you ask me, because that is just so low. I personally thought they would get like at least 5 or 6K an episode, but that's besides the point. But yeah, Leah, just don't get sucked in. Grow a little bit of a backbone. And also the whole thing with your grandma, I didn't understand why you even went when they encouraged you to stay. I thought that misinterpretation was kind of to gain sympathy, but I do want to tread lightly on that topic. So, yeah, that definitely made me raise an eyebrow, like, girl, you had to choose between a relative and the show. You chose the show. That's it. You can't change it. You were even encouraged to choose your grandma. Why didn't you? I just don't understand. Why didn't you? Now let's get to the only story in this article that made sense to me, that really did touch me. The story of Ebony K. I never watched this season with Ebony religiously. I watched tidbits of it, a few episodes, the last episode. I know how it all went down at the end, but I never truly read into it as much. I knew of those allegations, but of these allegations in the article, in that much detail, I am shook to my core. I am so shocked. That girl had to endure pure ignorance from old white women that were horrible to her. Luann, I have to check you really quick, because how dare you say such microaggressive things to her, such as what the hell did she say? I forgot. But there was a sentence from Luann that I did not really like. Let me think back to it. I don't like you're being aggressive. I don't like the way you talk. Girl, have you listened to the way you talk? When you slur and drink around and get arrested for DUIs and hit and runs and whatever, allegedly. Girl, I like Luann, but that did really rub me the wrong way. Like, how can you say something like that? And then Sonia, I mean, I have sympathy for Sonia because I feel like Sonia was the only one who tried to be as non-ignorant as she could be with Ebony, but I still feel like, girl, you should have done a better job of understanding the simplicity of it all between black and white, because in my opinion, you do not have to call in a Zoom meeting for on how to act around Black women and the microaggressions and the missteps and what to do when you say shit like that. That should be it. It should that should be like standard, like human decency in your head. I mean, I'm from all the other way around from the world. I'm from Germany. We do not have many Black people in this country at all. But I would need a fucking lesson on how to treat my Black colleagues. Like, what? I mean, it is nice that they would take these steps, but the commentary afterwards and during and before is that it is just such insanity to me. It is such insanity to me. Like, how can you be so ignorant? How can you have so much money? How can you be so old and be so ignorant? Don't you have any type of wisdom? Don't you have any type of respect? Don't you have any type of logic and human decency to go off of to see that it doesn't take that much to be a dumb fucking asshole to your Black colleagues? I mean, regardless of their skin color, to your colleagues, period. Let's get on Ramona. Ramona, if you really said what you said, it is tragic. I have no words. I cannot express how disappointed, I cannot express how done I am with this woman. If these allegations are true, which I tend to believe that these are, because with researching this article a bit more for myself, for my understanding on really truly what had happened, Ramona, you effed up. You have to take accountability. I really hope that you and your old white ass called Ebony up, spoiled her to a nice dinner, apologized profusely 11 million times, and all in all took accountability. Because what is this? What are these words that we are using with Black staff members? Do not change up your hair because I won't be able to tell you apart. Are you insane? When you and Luann are drunk and put on the same blonde wig, I cannot tell you apart either. I could say that every white bitch looks the same, but I won't, because I use logic, I use my brain. Try using yours. Try thinking out of the box. I hate it because Ramona provides comedy like no other. She's unhinged and I love that about her. But this she really fell from my heart, and that is so sad. That is so sad for her. And so dumb. So effing dumb. And also, Mr. Andy Cohen, the way you go off of these things and say that this could be a great storyline, allegedly. And also I mean, I got on Leah earlier, but the way you made a drinking game on Watch What Happens Live off of her name and off of her, like, alcohol drama, that just really shows the misogynistic nature of it all, which is seemingly part of the base of the Real Housewives a little bit, sadly. But that was really unnecessary and ugly. But yeah. Anyways, you guys, this was a very, very long video. I am tired. Please feel free to comment down below. Please feel free to share your thoughts and your opinions. I am now going to bed. I will quickly upload this video. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell down below so you do not miss out from me or in the future any other content from me. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, all the social medias. And I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.